guys, so as some of you already know, yesterday I went to AGA Garden and basically I met with the groove manager again. Every single time there is a doll show, we basically bump into each other and start talking about Pullip and what's going on. So the first thing I wanted to tell you guys is that I actually transmitted the questions that you had about dolls, especially about Queen Elizabeth's release. And the answer was they don't know if they can make her, because basically they cannot choose which dolls they make. So let me tell you a little bit about Pullip History, and then you're going to understand a little bit better what's going on. So basically, Pullip was created by June Planning some times ago, and then it didn't work out so well, and June Planning couldn't continue doing Pullip anymore. So someone called Mango Park decided to save Pullip, and she got all the Pullip license and all the character license so she could create Pullips for all of us to enjoy. And so Mango Park is working for this company called AGA, basically that's what we're gonna call it, because I cannot pronounce the name. But anyway, so AGA, and basically AGA is the big boss. So AGA was at first making the Pullip all by themselves, but if you heard about what happened with Yolume or that kind of thing, you would understand that it wasn't such a good idea, it didn't work so well. So basically they didn't have any way to make doll efficiently with China, so it was not so great. And then Groove came into place. Groove helped AGA make Pullip. But the thing is, AGA got all the licensing. So no matter what Groove wants to do, what dolls they want to make, they need to go through AGA first. So there is two different ways that's happening. The first is if Groove want to make a collaboration with an artist or a collaboration with an anime, they would going to say, for example, hey AGA, we want to have a collaboration to make Sailor Moon Pullip. Is that okay? And AGA is going to say, no, and in that case it cannot happen, and they don't need to investigate further. Or AGA is going to say yes, and Groove is starting prototypes and apply to Bandai to actually have Sailor Moon doll created. And as you know, this worked out. So basically, until AGA say yes or no, you cannot have a collaboration doll created. And then there is the second way it's going. It's Groove decides to create a prototype by themselves for a doll. Let's say, for example, I don't remember which one, like the last one that they actually made like that, because it's a difficult process. So they make that prototype by themselves, and then they send it to AGA and ask if AGA is okay. If AGA say yes, they have the doll. If AGA say no, that's worthless, like they cannot make the doll. And I'm pretty sure, like, because we are, like, Groove is more and more interested in what's going on abroad. Like, so far they were concentrating on Japanese people, what Japanese people wanted, and what kind of dolls they liked, because the only way they could get feedback was to put the prototypes during the doll show and get the Japanese people to vote. And I was there for a few of that doll show voting, and there isn't that many people voting. So it's like they have a very small panel to choose which doll they are going to put on. And Groove would like to have all those prototype online, but basically, like, until very recently, we couldn't even take pictures of the Groove doll exposed at the event. We could only recently take some pictures, and it wasn't of prototype dolls. So technically, if you see online prototypes dolls, those pictures have been taken by other people who sneaked the camera and took the pictures. So they're not supposed to be online because AGA actually refused to have any prototype put online, which I think it's a bad move. Because if they were to put, for example, all those prototypes on Facebook at the beginning of the year and let people vote for which doll would actually be better, then we would be able to choose a doll we want, and at the same time they would have a larger panel to choose from, so probably more customers. But that's my thought. Anyway, so we were talking about Queen Elizabeth because a lot of people in the American groups, Omocha Crush Pullip, and in the French group as well, I think Pullip History or La Folie des Dolls de Disney, well, any of that. People actually wanted to see Queen Elizabeth made, and what Groove actually told me was they don't have anything really against that, except when it came out as a prototype, it didn't do so well. Same with the doll from like the paintings. The only one who did well was a girl with a pearl earring, so that's why we have her and we don't have Mona Lisa, for example. Mona Lisa wasn't really voted for at the time. So the thing is, because those dolls weren't voted for at the time, even if we kind of ask for them, they cannot make it unless AGA agrees, and technically AGA is sort of against using older prototype. So it's really hard for Groove to get older prototype release. So the only way we're ever going to get those dolls out is to make noise. If we actually make noise, they're going to release it. Like, for example, the Alice optical collection, we have been making noise, like some leaked picture have been released. We could see the rest of the series. One of those pictures was actually from me, I guess. We could see the rest of the series, and I showed Groove yesterday that people actually were voting for the Queen to be released, and for the Rabbit Easel to be released, and for the Buell. So we were just sitting around a table, checking out your comments on Facebook, and showing them that I was showing them that those dolls were kind of liked. So we have a better chance for those to be released because they saw that, and it's like we are making noise. So if you want to have Queen Elizabeth released, if it's really something you want, or if you want to have Mona Lisa released, or the other dolls from the painting, or basically any doll who was even like a prototype, if you want any of the older prototype to be released, you need to make noise. And the way you're gonna make noise, like, you gotta ask AGA, guys, because Groove cannot do anything by themselves. Like, they would probably love to give you the dolls, but unless AGA agrees, it's not gonna happen. So you want dolls, just ask AGA. And they have a Facebook page, and I saw they were kind of active on there because they had a contest and they answered to every single comment on their tweet. So AGA is kind of an online presence. So if you want to make, like, I know, like, the group Omocha Crush actually wrote some sort of PDF form that say, if you were president of Groove, what would you do? Well, basically, if you were the president of AGA, what would you do? And these documents and what you want to see in type of older prototype release should be sent to AGA. Basically, my thought about that. Otherwise, we talk about other anime dolls. So I know a lot of you want Sakura Card Captor, but that's probably not going to happen because it's a really difficult, and it's also an ethical problem. So they cannot get Sakura Card Captors. We talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayers because there were a lot of you who were happy to see that happening, and actually they cannot process that because they would need to ask every single actors for the permission, and they don't know how to do that. So basically, this morning I sent a tweet to Sarah Michelle Gellar to ask her if she wanted to talk to me about making a Buffy the Vampire Slayer dolls. Because I don't have her address, I know she answers comments on Facebook sometimes, but from her newsletter she said to talk to her on Twitter, and she doesn't have any direct message on Twitter, so I sent her a tweet. So if you could go and kind of like the tweet about that, if you want a Buffy release, or like sort of, I don't know, say it's a brilliant idea to have a Pullip the Vampire Slayer, go to my Twitter and like the tweet, or like just show some support. The thing is, if we want any doll, we're going to have to move and act as a group of people to actually make things happen. So I think Groove would really like to have your support when they have new ideas. Maybe they're going to show more prototype in the future. That's what I thought about. Like, the idea would be to show you the prototype so you could choose whatever doll. It might be a long process until they get permission to do that, but they're probably going to be working on it. So we had a discussion about a lot of things, including how the current girl taking care of the sales and marketing should approach people from the Western side, so European people and American people, and how they could work around to be able to have more satisfied customers on the Western side of the planet. And technically, I told that they should enter our groups on Facebook and check out. So as whenever you can, guys, it's always good to show which doll you're interested in, and it's going to come to them at some point. Right now, at this moment, I asked, some people were starting to say what they wanted to see, and there is a thread in Omocha Crush Pullip group, and if you comment on this thread and leave some comments on what's going to happen next, I might be going to a next doll event next month on the 4th of December. So if you leave your ideas there, I would be showing the thread to the group manager again, and so that they know which doll you are actually voting for, sort of, the kind of things. And yeah, basically that's about it. People had questions about Sailor Moon. I told you before that they were taking a break, so I keep telling they are taking a break. We discuss things that are kind of off record, so I cannot tell you about, but there are amazing things coming. I've seen some picture of prototype. I'm not gonna tell you which anime character or which doll it is, if it's a Pullip, a Taeyong, a Buell, a Dal, a Nizzle. I'm not telling you anything, but there are some very impressive dolls coming up next year, so I hope you guys are going to enjoy that. And yeah, leave me your comments and what you want, and on the 4th of December, if I can make it to that event, I will definitely be showing everything to Groove peoples. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to know what was actually happening at AK Garden, please check the previous video I made, which title is AK Garden 112 Doll Show. And see you next time for something else. Have fun whatever you do. Bye!